We will look at very important concept in economics, and that happens to be price elasticity of demand. If you look at price elasticity of demand, it is one of the very important subtopic in IGCSE, in A levels and IBDP, whether you are talking about HL or SL. So let's revise few mistakes we might just commit while we are trying to use this very important concept either to explain a case or to answer a particular question. So let's start with the discussion here. So as I said that this is very important subtopic, and so let's first define how do we get PED. Now in almost majority of the syllabuses you will see PED is decided as percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Now that's the formula that you need to know, that the numerator is about percentage change in quantity demanded and denominator is percentage change in price. So the denominator is talking about price and the numerator is talking about quantity demanded. So this is very important, that not a change in demand but rather change in quantity demanded. First mistake what one can do while one is trying to understand or explain PED is this one. Look at it. Price fell by Indonesian rupiah 200,000 and quantity rose by 250 by 250 seats, so PED is high. Now the thing here is that this is one of the mistake. If you know the concept very well, you will not do it, but then just very important to understand that we are not looking at absolute number for any kind of conclusion. Price falling by big number or quantity changing by any big number or a small number is not going to tell us whether PED is high or low. And so that's what is shown here, that look, we cannot comment about PED, we cannot talk about PED just by looking at absolute number. And so in order to know the real value of PED, whether the responsiveness of change in quantity demanded or change in price is big enough or not, is going to be the percentage. So that's what is very important point to note, not the size of change but the percentage change there. And that is the very first possible mistake you can do there while you are using PED. Let's come to the next one. Now this one is very simple one there, that is the mistake here is that percentage change in the price is on the top, is in the numerator. As you can see here, the numerator is bringing percentage change in price and denominator is percentage change in quantity. That's the problem there. Obviously you know what is the solution, but still look at it there. What is the solution? The solution is that you look at the PED here at the percentage change in PED. If you want to know the PED, you have to first get the percentage change in quantity in the numerator and percentage change in price in denominator. So that's very, very important. Always remember, quantity demanded will always be on the top or in numerator. So maybe that was easy one. Let's look at the next one there. And this could be the dividing by the new value. Now this is very important. How do you get that? How do you get the percentage change in quantity demanded? Percentage change in quantity, how will you get that percentage change in quantity demanded is what the question here is. And so what is the solution? So here you see the problem is this one, the new value. No, we try to get by the original value. So how much it has changed in percentage from the original value. And so this is what we can see here in this case. So suppose here the price was 25,000, now it has gone to 30,000. So it is how much is the change. If you want to know the change, it is going to be change, whatever the change is happening. So 25, from 25 it has gone to 30, so it's going to be 5,000 in numerator. That's how we'll write it there. And the denominator is very important, and that is going to be original value. So since I said it there, so 25,000 was the original price, and so the original price will come in denominator times 100. So if you look at that, it comes out to be 20%. And that's why it is written here that 20% is what will come there, not 16.7%. 16.7%, you can do the experiment. It is coming 16.7% if you don't take denominator as 25,000, but rather you take the denominator as 30,000. So that's another very important thing, that while you are calculating the PED, that is price elastic demand, you have to be careful about that. Come to the next point now here. The next point is that, okay, now this one is that elastic demand means sales are high. No way. It is not, or rather it could be a complete confusion and complete wrong answer there. So it says that treating elastic as synonym for the popular or strong or high volume, none of them. Don't take it there that way. It means you have a little bit of confusion about what is this elasticity is all about. And so it is not about how strong is the sales, how big is the sales, but rather how responsive is the sales, or how responsive is the quantity with a change in the price. So it has got nothing else to say there. So don't try attach elasticity concept with anything to do with some product being popular, some product being very good or bad. Nothing to do with that there. There are so many factors which might affect elasticity, but here what it means, like when you try to do the interpretation, always remember that elasticity is all about knowing how the quantity demanded of a product will respond if you change the price. That's there, and no other value attached. Of course, you can say that if the demand for my product is somewhat perfectly inelastic or highly inelastic, maybe that could be a comfortable scenario in some situations for a seller. For a firm, that could be a better scenario there. Let's look at the next one now. The next one is that, and this is very interesting, and this could be a huge problem there. As you can read here, minus 0.5 is more elastic than minus 0.25. Now that's where the confusion could be there, because minus 0.5 geometrically speaking is, or I mean arithmetically or mathematically speaking, pure mathematically speaking, is 0.5 is bigger number than minus 0.5. But then remember one thing, that minus sign is always there when you are calculating PED. PED is always minus. Why? Because of the law of demand. Because of law of demand. So we look at the absolute value there, and that's what you have to understand. So compare the size of the value, ignore the sign. Very, very important point there. So that's where there could be a huge confusion there. So that's why when you calculate the PED, that we use the absolute value, and that is something we have to keep in mind there while we are trying to do the interpretation of PED. Let's look at the next possible mistake there. Okay, this one is price rises so demand falls. Now that is a huge problem. Maybe if you are not careful, you will always be doing that. So like when you saying that demand will fall when price rises, it means you are saying that when the prices are changing, the demand curve itself will shift. That's the very fundamental mistake of law of demand. Law of demand never says that the demand will change. Law of demand says quantity demanded will change. Understand the difference between these two words. They are two different. Quantity demanded, as I say there, and this is not equal to demand. So the quantity demanded is that when you are on one demand curve moving from one point to another point, this is quantity demanded. And when you say demand changing, means demand curve itself will change from either way, D1 to D2 or D2 to D1. But that is not what is there. So price rises so the demand fall, it could be a huge problem, and that suggests that you are not careful about what the demand curve is all about there. So let's look at the solution there. So what is that? What is the fix there? The fix is that a price change moves along the demand curve. Always remember that. And so quantity demanded is what changing, not the demand when there is a price change. Remember one thing here only, I think you must have studied, you must be knowing that when you say that the demand curve has to change or the demand has to change, then in that case you have to say anything which is not a price factor, and so non-price factor will cause the shift in the demand curve. For example, if the population of a country changes, maybe the demand curve will move from D1 to D2. You can say that way. Or when you say that the doctors are nowadays not liking a particular product, maybe you can say that the demand has moved from D3 to D4. Now remember, I said two things: doctors are not liking, or doctors are not prescribing or giving a warning against a particular product. This is not a price factor, and so I have shifted the demand curve rather than moving along the demand curve there. So that could be a confusion along with PED there. Let's look at next one now. It says higher prices always means more revenue. This is very fundamental, very fundamental of price elasticity of demand chapter, which should always be there in your understanding. What is that? So when the price is going up, that is not a guarantee that total revenue will go up. It can, okay, when price is going up and the total revenue may remain same, or when the price is going up, the total might just come down. All three are correct there. All three are possibilities. So keep that in mind, that all three are possibilities, and all these possibilities depends on what is elasticity. And so it is very important that to understand that when you say price is rising, the total revenue will also rise only when it is inelastic. Only when this is in the price elasticity of demand is inelastic. So remember one thing: when price and total revenue is going to move in same direction, obviously remember one thing more, that when the price goes down and total revenue also comes down, again it means same thing. That is going to be all about the inelastic demand. Now you can pause here and think, what in case of the other case? And this is the answer. So the thing is that when price goes up and the total revenue remain the same, or when price comes down and still the total revenue remains the same, it means it is unit elastic. PED happens to be unit elastic, is 1, right? That's the case here. And the last one is that when they move in the opposite direction, as you can see, it means they are elastic. So how can I write it? I can say that if the price is moving and the total revenue is coming down, it means the price of demand is elastic. And the same way, when the price is coming down and the total revenue is going up, it means that, again, it means the same thing, that the demand is price elastic. Let's look at few more where you might just get it wrong there. What is that? Now, consumer expenditure versus firm's revenue. This could be a huge another misunderstanding, that whatever is the consumer expenditure is actually going to be the firm's revenue. So that could be a confusion, and so try to understand here, as it is stated, that it's the same, like it looks it from the different point of view. So two point of views are there, not two different concepts are there. So that is all connected to the previous point we discussed. And last point, what is very important for whenever you're writing any kind of answer in the exam, is that when you say PED is a particular number, that itself is nothing. That, like, you're just saying that PED is this will not speak anything, but rather when you are explaining, please state that PED equal to means that the demand is price elastic. And what does it mean also is that when there will be a change in the price, the response to of that to change in quantity is going to be proportionately more, and accordingly whatever values you have. So you know that when PED is 0, completely very low elasticity is there, meaning to say that there is no elasticity rather, in a way. And PED happens to be 1, unit elastic, more than 1 means is elastic, and any other higher value will be highly elastic. So these are the important points, must be kept in mind, must be revised before you complete your study about elasticity of demand, or rather price elasticity of demand. Thank you.